Welcome back to Ghost Pirate Entertainment. I'm your host, Kanan Becker, and today I give you 10 exciting movies you can watch right now on Amazon Prime. Here's a list of 10 movies that are, at the time of recording this, available on Amazon Prime. Some of them are old, some of them are newer, but either way, they're just 10 movies that I recommend you checking out. So I'm just going to give you a few of my thoughts on each one and then move to the next. No crazy deep dive here, just a quick little rec list. So with that, let's get to the list. Alright, so kicking off this list is a movie that stars Mary J. Blige. She's famous as an R&B singer, but she's done a few acting roles. But either way, this is a cool little movie. So, this is Editor Kanan, and I forgot to say the name of the damn movie that I'm talking about here. So, the movie is called Body Cam. And yes, I know, I'm an idiot. Kind of a supernatural, ghostish kind of story, but it's basically about some police officers and some stuff that they record on their body cams.
What the hell happened to the street lights? Grab the big light, check the north side.
Put your hands in the air now!
It goes a little bit into cultural stuff, a little bit of race relations type of elements, and it is a little bit of a hard police drama in some ways, but mostly it's just a good old-fashioned kind of ghost story. It doesn't get too political or too crazy into those agendas, but it does touch on them a little. But honestly, it's just a good little horror flick. If you're looking for something to just entertain you, a small little horror movie, then I think this is definitely one worth checking out.
Someone's in here.
Next up is the David Fincher film, Zodiac.
Dear editor, this is the murderer of the two teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman and the girl on the 4th of July.
The Zodiac killer has come to San Francisco.
And I absolutely adore this movie. I am a big fan of true crime stuff, but especially when it's done in this high quality of a bioflick type of situation. But I just loved this movie. It has great acting in it, a huge cast. I understand that maybe for some people it moves a little slow, and maybe that's why it's not more popular. I don't know. I've always thought it deserves a lot more credit than it gets, but either way, I know that it isn't for everyone. But if you're someone who really enjoys true crime and has yet to watch the film Zodiac, do yourself a favor and check this movie out.
Do you always go around helping people in the night?
I'm not the Zodiac, and if I was, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
Next, we go to another horror classic, and this is one of my favorite classic horror movies, and that is My Bloody Valentine.
How many times is he gonna tell this story?
Oh, let him tell it. I love fairy tales.
This ain't no fairy tale, little girl. If you don't take it seriously, you're a fool!
And this is the 1981 version. And even though I really did enjoy the early 2000s version, which is available to watch on Tubi, if you're interested, but even though I did really enjoy that one, this one is the OG. And to me, this has charm, this has looks and just style. It's always baffled me that this movie isn't talked about more. It should at least be talked about like Sleepaway Camp is, and I do love Sleepaway Camp, but this movie deserves more credit. And for whatever reason, it's just always kind of ignored. Yet to me, The Miner is one of the more fun and just awesome looking, as well as just he's got this aura about him. He's just a great villain, a great horror icon that I feel like should be talked about way more than he does. So I know this has a cult following and quite a few horror fans have seen it, but if you're one of those younger horror fans or someone that just hasn't quite done that deep dive into horror yet, this is one that I highly recommend, and it is available to stream right now on Amazon Prime.
My Bloody Valentine.
Alright, next up is the 2019 Pet Sematary.
Those woods belong to something else.
Let me be honest with you right off the jump. When I first saw this in theaters, I was not a fan. I was actually pretty frustrated with it, and it just didn't really quite grab me. And I did talk a little bit of shit about it. But, strangely enough, this movie gets better with each rewatch. I don't know why. Maybe I hated it mostly in the beginning because I was still hanging on to that old classic, because it is the first horror movie I ever saw, and I absolutely love that movie. But I think a lot of it is the nostalgic part. But honestly, this 2019 remake is a pretty solid horror movie. And I think if I hadn't been hanging on to that old, nostalgic classic, that I probably would have enjoyed this a lot more from the jump. But either way, this is actually a pretty good movie that has some pretty great little scares in it and does build some pretty solid suspense. But by no means am I saying this is like some legendary, amazing movie. But as far as a fun horror movie that's actually done pretty cool and is worth watching, this is definitely one.
Sometimes dead is better.
Next up is the great little creature feature called Crawl.
All residents must evacuate immediately. Grab your families, your loved ones, and get out.
And this is one of my favorite creature features from the last couple years. It is so intense, just high energy. I really do appreciate that it is a little bit of that throwback vibe to it, kind of along the lines of Anaconda, Deep Blue Sea. Not as cheesy as those movies, of course, because those were early 2000s, but it does have a little bit of that pushing the boundaries of reality and just going for it, and really just being a fun little over-the-top creature feature.
Come on, you son of a bitch!
Next up, I recommend the movie Dredd.
800 million people living in the ruin of the old world. Only one thing fighting for order in the chaos.
And yes, this isn't a true blue horror movie, but hear me out. It has plenty of gore, more gore than a lot of horror movies, and it does have a lot of dark qualities. So if it's not horror, it's definitely fringe-worthy. So either way, this is my list, this is my channel, and I enjoy it, okay? So I put it on this list. But I don't know why more people don't talk about this movie. It has so many just badass moments and scenes in it. This is just such a great movie that has a lot of those RoboCop type of vibes, but yet it's a lot darker and more, and of course it's more modern. But I just think it's a great movie that I don't understand why it's not talked about more, because when it comes to gore, it goes for it. When it comes to the action and exciting sci-fi stuff, it goes for that. It goes for the high-techness. I mean, this movie is just a lot of fun. If you haven't watched it, I highly recommend watching it.
Negotiations over. The sentence is death.
Next up is a mystical, magical, dark fantasy, and that is Gretal and Hansel.
Tell me the fairy tale again.
It's too scary, start seeing things that aren't there.
And this is a movie that just didn't blow me away in the beginning. I did like it, but didn't blow me away. But then when I rewatched this, I actually enjoyed it a lot more, because the visuals of this are just stunning. This is one of the most enjoyable visual movies that I've seen in a very long time. But I was so excited to see that it was on Prime, because I feel like because of when it came out in theaters last year, not as many people ended up seeing this that normally would. But the fact that now it's available if you have a Prime membership for free, hopefully more people will check it out, because I think this movie is a lot better than it's getting credit for. Like I said, it is beautifully done, really well acted, just creepy as all hell, and just a fun story with a lot of really cool twists and turns, but just a really solid movie that I definitely recommend checking out. Delicious. Next up is one of my favorites, and that would be the film Overlord.
3 months ago, I was cutting grass in my front yard. And the mailman shows up with a letter from the army. Now I'm here. No idea where I'm gonna end up.
And I did do a review on this channel a few months back. It's a little cringy because I was still trying to figure this whole thing out. I'm still kind of trying to figure this whole thing out, but I was really trying to figure this whole thing out then. But I do recommend, if you want to hear me talk more about it, check out that review. But this is just a really fun period piece, takes place in World War II, about these soldiers, and then zombies are involved, or some type of mutations. I'm not exactly sure what you call them, but this is a really, really rad movie that looks fantastic, has some great villains, some really fun acting, and I just love this cast. I'm a huge fan of Kurt Russell, and his son is in this, and he just blows your socks off. So good. And I just gotta say, and I think I've said this before, but I just gotta say that if they ever do a remake of The Thing, he really needs to play Kurt Russell's character in that, because he looks spot on like him at that age. It's really wild. But this is a really cool movie that is got somewhat of a following, but not nearly enough. So if you haven't seen this, do yourself a favor and check out Overlord.
What do you do with those people? They have been given a purpose.
Next is one of my favorite OG classics, and this is a movie that is not in the Pantheon like it maybe should be, and that is John Carpenter's The Fog.
This is KAB Antonio Bay. Stevie Wayne here, and let me be the first to wish Antonio Bay a happy birthday. We're 100 years old today, and keep a watch out for that fog bank.
This movie is so well done. I love the pacing. I love the overall energy and creepiness, just the way this movie slowly unfolds, and it's like fog, like the movie itself is like fog that just slowly moves in around you, and it just gets creepier and creepier, and you just feel like you're surrounded by this movie, and I love that. This is just one of my favorite early 80s movies. It really just oozes that early 80s vibe and energy, and that gives it this great nostalgic charm, but it is just a really cool, it feels like a campfire tale type of movie. And those are some of my favorite movies, just those old ghost stories sitting around a campfire. And that's what this movie is, and it does it perfect. It does it as well or better than anything I've ever seen try to do that. So like I said, I just absolutely love this movie.
From the creator of Halloween, the ultimate experience in terror and suspense. John Carpenter's The Fog. What you can't see won't hurt you. It will kill you.
So last but not least is the movie that I'm the most excited about to have on this list. And in a lot of ways, it's why I decided to make this list. Because when I saw that this was available for free streaming on Prime, I was just so stoked. Because this is one of my favorite horror movies of the last few years, and that will be You're Next.
What is that?
And I do recommend that if you want to hear me talk more about this movie, I did do a review not too long ago about it. But I just love this movie. It is so much fun, so exciting, with just one of my favorite heroines, final girls, of anything I've seen in a long time. She's just so savage. Like I always say, she is savage as fuck. But honestly, this is just such a cool movie. There's awesome masks, there's creepy factors, it's exciting, it has some really gory, but gore done in a really fun way, unique kills. I mean, this movie has got it all. If you're looking for an exciting horror movie and you have not checked out You're Next, then you are missing out. So I highly recommend you go on over to Prime and watch You're Next. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed that list, and I love hearing from you guys, so please leave me some comments down below Also, if you could do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and ding that little bell, because that is the best way to keep track of this channel and when I post videos like this, and I try to post videos like this at least 2 times every week. And I also want to give a huge thank you to my patrons, because your support means so much to me. And if you would like to find out more about becoming a patron, the link is down in the description. And like always, thank you so much for watching. Please crush that like button, and remember, horror can be fun. I will see you guys next time.